Let's talk about something uncomfortable, mediocrity. It's a slow, silent trap that most people don't even realize they've fallen into until it's too late. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't shake you awake. It whispers, it lulls, it convinces you that good enough is enough. The truth is, mediocrity is not about lacking talent or intelligence. It's about habits, patterns. It's about the small daily choices that keep you exactly where you are. You see, no one wakes up one day and says, I think I'll settle for less today. No, it happens over time. It starts with procrastination, telling yourself you'll do it tomorrow. Then it's comfort, the warmth of routine that keeps you from pushing harder. Then it's excuses, the belief that circumstances are the reason you're not where you want to be. And before you know it, weeks turn into months. Months into years. You look around and realize you never really moved. Look at the people around you. Some push forward, some stay stuck. The difference? Patterns. The successful ones identify the traps and break them. The rest? They repeat them. The choice is yours. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly paid attention to time? Not just checking the clock, not just watching the calendar flip, but really feeling time passing through your hands. Most people don't. Because time doesn't come with alarms. It doesn't tap you on the shoulder and remind you that another day just vanished. It just goes. And we waste it like we have an unlimited supply. I'll start next week. I'll do it when I feel ready. I have time. Do you? Do you really? Because every person who has ever looked back in regret thought the same thing. Time is the most deceptive thief because it doesn't steal from you all at once. It takes a little today, a little tomorrow, and before you know it, your dreams are nothing but memories of what you could have done. If you don't wake up to time now, one day it'll wake you up. And that wake-up call is never pleasant. So what are you going to do about it? There's a moment that comes for everyone, the moment of reflection. When you look back at your life and ask, did I really live it the way I wanted? Do you know what most people say? If only I had taken that chance, if only I had spoken up, if only I had started sooner. Those words will haunt you if you let them. They are the heaviest words a person can carry because they come with a realization. You can't rewind time. Think about it. Have you ever met an older person who said, I regret pushing myself too hard, or I regret chasing my dreams? No, they regret not trying, not pushing, not taking the leap when they had the chance. And the worst part, you don't have to wait until the end to feel this regret. It shows up in small ways. When you hesitate, when you let fear stop you, when you let opportunities slip by because you were waiting for the right time. So what's it going to be? Will you live a life that ends with if only, or will you take control before it's too late? Let me tell you something. Comfort is a slow killer. It doesn't strike fast. It doesn't make a scene. It just wraps around you like a warm blanket, whispering, stay here, it's safe. And before you know it, that blanket becomes a straitjacket. Comfort zones feel good because they're predictable. No risk, no failure, no pain, but guess what else? No growth. No progress, no fire inside you pushing you forward. You see, life doesn't reward people who play it safe. It rewards the ones who step into discomfort, the ones willing to look fear in the eye and move forward anyway. Think about it. Every great success story, every game changer, every person you admire, they didn't get there by staying where it was comfortable. They fought through fear, uncertainty, and struggle. They got up when it was easier to stay down. They moved when doubt tried to hold them back. But most people, they stay stuck, not because they're not capable, not because they don't have potential, but because they let comfort win. And comfort, it will lie to you. It will convince you that you're fine where you are. But deep down, you know that's not true. You know there's more in you. And if you don't act on it, regret will be the only thing waiting for you at the end of the road. So the question is, are you going to let comfort rob you of your future? Or are you going to break free and take what's yours? Let's get one thing straight. You are not stuck because you lack talent. You are not falling behind because you aren't smart enough. And you are definitely not failing because you don't have the right resources. The world is full of people who had nothing, no money, no connections, no special skills, yet they still made it. Why? Because they refused to let excuses define them. They refused to believe the lie that they weren't ready or good enough. Look around. How many people have degrees but never do anything with them? How many have all the resources in the world but still waste them? How many have raw talent but never take action? Success isn't about what you have, it's about what you do with it. And if you're sitting there thinking, I'd be further ahead if only I had more time, more support, more money, stop. Because the truth is, none of that is the real problem. You want to know the real reason people stay stuck? It's not because they aren't capable. It's because they hesitate. Hesitation is the silent killer of dreams. It disguises itself as waiting for the right time. It whispers, maybe later, or I just need to prepare a little more. And every time you listen, every time you pause instead of acting, you lose momentum. Think about it. How many times have you had an idea, felt a spark of motivation, and then did nothing? You convinced yourself you weren't ready, you told yourself you needed more information, and the moment passed. That's the habit that destroys potential before it even begins. The habit of hesitation. Hesitation doesn't just slow you down, it steals from you. It robs you of opportunities, confidence, and growth. And the worst part, the longer you hesitate, the harder it gets to take action. Because every time you hesitate, you teach your brain a lesson. We don't take risks. We don't move forward. We stay exactly where we are. And before you know it, inaction becomes your default mode. Look at the people who achieve great things. They're not always the smartest. They're not always the most prepared. But they are always the ones who act. They feel fear and move anyway. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They create it. They don't waste time overthinking. They take the first step and figure it out as they go. That's the difference. And that's what you need to decide right now. Are you going to keep hesitating, or are you going to break the cycle and take control of your future? Because hesitation is a habit, but so is action. And the choice is yours. Most people go their entire lives never realizing the real reason they stay stuck. They blame circumstances. They blame other people. They convince themselves that success is for other people. The lucky ones, the gifted ones, the ones who had it easy. But let me tell you the truth, it's not about luck, it's not about talent, it's about mindset. Most people never uncover this truth because they don't want to. Because once you realize that your life is in your hands, you lose the right to make excuses. And that's scary. It's easier to believe you're powerless than to accept that you've been the one holding yourself back. But you're not most people. You're here because deep down you know you're meant for more. You feel it, you've always felt it. And right now you have a choice. Keep living the way you always have, or open your eyes to the truth and finally step into the person you were meant to become. Here's the shift that changes everything. Life doesn't happen to you, it happens because of you. Think about that for a second. Every action you take, every decision you make, every belief you hold, it's shaping your future. Whether you realize it or not, you are always building something. The question is, are you building the life you want, or are you just reinforcing the life you're trying to escape? Because the people who succeed, they don't just wish for change. They don't just dream about success. They take ownership, they stop waiting, they stop blaming, they stop hesitating, and you can do the same. The moment you shift from why is this happening to me to what can I do about it, your entire trajectory changes. Because that's the moment you stop being a victim and start being the one in control. And once you see life this way, you can never go back. This is the part where most people nod their heads, feel inspired for a moment, and then go right back to their old habits, right back to hesitation, right back to excuses, right back to the same cycle they swore they wanted to break. The difference between winners and everyone else isn't what they know, it's what they do. So here's the challenge. Will you break the cycle? Will you finally stop waiting, stop hesitating, stop making excuses and start moving? Or will you stay the same? This isn't a speech. This isn't entertainment. This is your wake-up call. No more waiting for the right time. No more saying one day. No more looking at your life and wishing it was different. It's time, right now. Decide. Are you in control or are you not? Because the second you decide to take control, your life will never be the same again. Most people spend their entire lives wondering why they're not where they want to be. They tell themselves they're trying, they're working hard, they're doing everything they can, but deep down, there's this nagging feeling, like something is holding them back, something they can't quite put their finger on. And here's the truth, it's not bad luck, it's not that they don't have what it takes. The one reason people stay stuck is simple. They are waiting for the right moment, waiting to feel ready, waiting for some kind of sign that tells them it's time to finally go all in. And that wait, that's the trap. That's the slow, silent poison that kills more dreams than failure ever could, because failure at least means you tried. Waiting means you did nothing. Let's get one thing straight. The people who win in life aren't always the smartest. They aren't always the most talented. And they aren't even the hardest workers. You've seen it yourself. People with all the potential in the world who never make it. And others, people with nothing special about them who rise up and take everything they ever wanted. So if it's not intelligence, talent, or effort, then what is it? It's action. It's the ability to move forward without hesitation, to make decisions, to take risks. Because talent without action is wasted. Intelligence without action is useless. Hard work without action is just running in circles. And here's what makes this so dangerous. Most people think they're taking action when they're really just preparing, researching, planning, telling themselves they're getting ready. But getting ready isn't the same as moving. And movement, not preparation, is what changes everything. Waiting feels safe, it feels smart, it feels responsible, because we're told to be careful, to make sure we're ready before we take a risk. But let me ask you this. How many times have you waited only to look back and realize that nothing changed? That opportunity you were thinking about, gone. That goal you said you'd start next month, still sitting there. That life you swore you'd build, just another year further away. Because here's the brutal truth. Waiting isn't safe. It's the most dangerous thing you can do. It steals time, it steals momentum, it steals confidence. Every second you wait, you're reinforcing hesitation. You're training your brain to doubt instead of decide, to hesitate instead of act, to exist instead of live. And if you don't break that cycle, one day you wake up and realize that one day never came. So ask yourself, are you going to keep waiting, convincing yourself that the right time will magically appear, or are you going to take control right now and start moving before time makes the decision for you? We've all said it, we've all thought it. I'll start when I have more money. I'll go for it when the time is right. I'll do it when I feel ready. And in the moment, it feels reasonable. It feels smart. Because nobody wants to make a reckless decision, right? Nobody wants to take a risk before they're prepared. But let me ask you this. How many times have you told yourself these exact same words and still nothing changed? How many times have you pushed your dreams a little further down the road, convincing yourself that later is the safer choice? The truth is, these words aren't just delays, they're excuses. They're the stories we tell ourselves to justify staying in the exact same place. Because if we wait long enough, if we stall long enough, maybe we won't have to face the discomfort of growth. Maybe we won't have to deal with the fear of failure. But what happens instead? We trade that fear for something worse: regret. Here's the trap. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start. Because the longer you sit in hesitation, the more comfortable it feels. The more you convince yourself that waiting is the right thing to do. And before you know it, days turn into months. Months turn into years, and one day you wake up and realize you spent your entire life getting ready, but never actually getting started. Think about all the people who once had a dream, who said they'd start that business, write that book, they'd take that leap, but they never did. Not because they weren't capable, not because they didn't have what it took, but because they waited too long and hesitation became their default. Now imagine if they had started before they felt ready. Imagine where they'd be now. Imagine where you could be if you stopped hesitating today. Let me tell you something that will change the way you look at this forever. You will never feel completely ready, not now, not next week, not next year, because readiness isn't something you wait for, it's something you build through action. Do you think the most successful people had everything figured out before they started? Do you think they had all the money, all the knowledge, all the confidence before they took their first step? No. They started scared, they started unsure, but they started anyway. And that's the difference. People who win don't wait for the perfect moment. They don't wait for the stars to align. They take the shot, they adjust as they go, and they figure it out along the way. Because here's the reality. The time will never be perfect, the conditions will never be ideal, you will never feel completely ready, and if you don't start now, you're just proving that you won't start later either. So ask yourself, are you willing to stay stuck waiting for a moment that will never come? Or are you ready to take control and make today the day everything changes? Your future self is watching. Your future self is waiting. The question is, will they be proud of the choice you make right now? Imagine standing at a bus stop, waiting for the perfect ride to show up. The bus that's on time, empty, and going exactly where you want to go. You keep checking your watch. You tell yourself any minute now, but nothing comes. Other buses pass, ones that could take you closer to your destination, but you don't get on. They're not perfect, not what you had in mind. So you keep waiting. Minutes turn into hours, hours turn into days, and before you know it, you've wasted precious time standing in the same place going nowhere. This is exactly what happens when you chase the right moment. You keep telling yourself you'll start when you feel confident, when you have more experience, when you're absolutely sure it will work. But that perfect moment, it never comes. And while you wait, life keeps moving. Opportunities pass, other people take action, and you're still stuck at the bus stop wondering why nothing has changed. Look around, some people aren't waiting. Some people aren't standing at that bus stop hoping for the stars to align. They see an opportunity, even if it's not ideal, and they take it. Maybe they don't have all the answers, maybe they're nervous, maybe they fail, but here's the key difference. They're moving. They're getting on buses, learning as they go, switching routes if they have to, and because of that, they're making progress. Meanwhile, the person who hesitates, the person who waits for the perfect conditions, they stay exactly where they are. And here's what makes it worse. Every time you see someone else take action, every time you watch someone else succeed, it stings. Because deep down, you know you could have done the same. You know you had the same chance, but you let it pass. Regret doesn't come from failure, it comes from never trying. So let me ask you, are you going to keep watching, or are you finally going to step forward? Success isn't about luck. It's not about having everything figured out in advance. It's about having the courage to move even when you don't feel ready. Every successful person you admire, every entrepreneur, every artist, every athlete, every leader, they all had doubts, they all had fears, but they did one thing differently. They took action anyway. They didn't wait for the right moment, they made the moment right. Because here's the truth, clarity comes from action. You don't get confident first and then take the leap. You take the leap, and that's how you build confidence. Success comes from momentum. The more you move, the more you grow, the more doors open. And greatness, it doesn't come from waiting. It comes from stepping into the unknown and daring to figure things out along the way. So, here's the challenge. Will you keep waiting for a bus that never arrives? Or will you start walking toward your goals, even if the path isn't perfectly clear? Because one thing is certain, action will always get you further than hesitation ever will. Most people think hesitation is harmless. A pause, a delay, a small moment of indecision that doesn't really matter. But let me tell you something. Every second you hesitate, you're making a choice. Choice to stay the same. A choice to let fear win. A choice to let opportunity slip through your fingers. Hesitation isn't neutral, it's a decision. A decision to not take action. And that decision, it has consequences. While you're standing still, someone else is moving forward. While you're second guessing, someone else is taking the risk. And when you finally look up, you realize the opportunity you wanted, the change you needed, it's gone. You didn't lose it because you weren't capable. You lost it because you hesitated. So ask yourself, how many times have you let hesitation steal what could have been yours? Be honest. How many times have you said, next year I'll finally get in shape? Next year I'll start that business. Next year I'll take control of my life. And then what happened? The year came and went. And you were still in the same place. Because next year is a lie we tell ourselves to feel better about not taking action today. Think about it. If next year actually worked, you'd already be where you want to be. You wouldn't still be saying it. And here's the scary part. How many more years are you willing to waste? Because eventually, there won't be a next year. Eventually, you'll run out of time. And when that happens, all you'll be left with are the memories of what you could have done. That's the reality. And it's a hard pill to swallow. But the good news, you still have a choice. This is the moment. Right now, you have two options. You can keep waiting, keep hesitating, keep telling yourself next year. You can stay stuck in the same patterns, watching other people achieve what you could have achieved. Or you can make today the day everything changes. Not next week, not next year, today. Because the truth is, your future is being decided right now. Every action you take or don't take is shaping the person you become. So what's it going to be? Are you going to keep watching time slip away? Or are you finally going to take control of your life? This is your challenge, your wake-up call, your chance to break free from the cycle of hesitation and step into action. Because if you don't start now, when will you? Time is the one thing you can never get more of. Money, you can earn it back. Opportunities, they come and go. But time, once it's gone forever. Every single day you wait, every moment you hesitate, you are making a trade. You're exchanging time, your most valuable resource, for nothing, for regret, for missed chances, for dreams that stay just that, dreams. Think about it. How many times have you looked back and thought, if only I'd started last year, I'd be so much further ahead? Let me ask you this. If you had started 5 years ago, where would you be right now? If you had committed last month, how much closer would you be to your goal today? You don't get those years, those months, those days back. They're gone. But right now, this moment, you still have a choice. The clock is ticking, whether you take action or not. The only question is, are you going to keep wasting time, or are you finally going to use it? Some people think hesitation is just a one-time thing, a temporary delay, a moment of uncertainty. But here's the truth, hesitation is a habit. And like any habit, the more you do it, the stronger it gets. At first, it's just a small hesitation, little doubt, a tiny voice saying, maybe not right now. But the next time, it's easier to hesitate. The time after that, it's almost automatic. And before you know it, hesitation has become your default setting. You don't even realize you're doing it anymore. You've trained yourself to wait instead of act. And what happens when hesitation becomes your habit? You get stuck. You watch opportunities pass. You watch other people take action while you sit on the sidelines convincing yourself you'll start when the time is right. Let me tell you something, the time will never be perfect. The stars will never align, and if you wait for everything to be just right before you act, you'll wait forever. The only way to break the habit of hesitation is to take action right now. Not when you feel ready, not when it's convenient, not next week, now. Success isn't about one big move. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment and then making some grand leap. Success is about momentum. Every step forward makes the next step easier. Every small win adds up. And before you know it, you're moving fast, you're making progress, and you're unstoppable. But the opposite is also true. Every time you hesitate, every time you delay, every time you choose comfort over growth, you're losing momentum. You're making it harder to start, harder to get moving, harder to break free from the cycle of waiting. It's like pushing a boulder up a hill. In the beginning, it's tough. But if you keep pushing, you gain momentum, and eventually that boulder starts rolling on its own. But if you stop pushing, if you hesitate, that boulder doesn't stay in place. It rolls back down and you have to start all over again. That's the painful truth. There is no in between. You're either moving forward or falling behind. So what's it gonna be? Are you gonna sit there losing momentum, watching time slip away? Or are you gonna take action, build that momentum, and create the life you want? The choice is yours, but make no mistake, waiting is still a choice. And every day you wait, you make the wrong one. We all know someone like this. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's even you. A person with big dreams, big ideas, always talking about what they want to do, what they could do, what they will do someday. I had a friend like that. 10 years ago, he had a vision for his life. He wanted to start a business, move to a new city, take control of his future. He talked about it constantly. He read books, watched motivational videos, made plans. But when it came time to act, he hesitated. There's too much risk. I don't have the money. The timing isn't right. So he stayed where he was, told himself he'd start next year. But next year came, and guess what? He still wasn't ready. Another excuse, another delay. Fast forward a decade, he's in the exact same spot. Same job, same routine, same frustrations, watching others move ahead while he stands still. And now he says, I wish I had just started back then. You see what happened? The dream didn't die overnight. It faded slowly, quietly, one hesitation at a time. And now he carries something far heavier than fear, regret. Hesitation doesn't seem like a big deal in the moment. One delay, one excuse, it feels small. But here's the truth. Hesitation compounds, it builds up over time. One missed opportunity turns into 2. 1 year of waiting turns into 5. Before you know it, a decade has passed and you're left wondering where the time went. You see, life doesn't pause while you make up your mind. The world moves forward with or without you. Opportunities have an expiration date. That job you wanted, it's gone. That dream you had, someone else took action and made it theirs. And the worst part, the more you hesitate, the more you train yourself to hesitate, it becomes a habit, a pattern. And breaking free from it gets harder and harder. You look back and realize you didn't just lose time, you lost confidence, momentum, and belief in yourself. So let me ask you, how many chances have you already let slip away? And more importantly, how many more are you willing to lose? I want you to fast forward 10 years into the future. Picture yourself there. Are you where you want to be? Or are you still making the same excuses, fighting the same doubts, waiting for the right moment? Because let me tell you something. If you don't change now, nothing will change then. You don't want to be the person sitting around at 50 saying, if only I had started when I had the chance. You don't want to look back at your life and realize you never really lived it, you just waited for it to begin. And here's the harsh truth. If you don't act now, you will end up exactly like my friend, watching life pass you by, wishing you had been braver, wishing you had just started. But here's the good news. You still can. You still have a choice. You can let fear win, or you can decide right now that you're done waiting, that today is the day you stop hesitating. Because the only way to guarantee failure is to never begin. So ask yourself, or will you be telling another story of regret? Close your eyes for a second. Picture this. You meet the version of yourself who didn't hesitate, the one who stopped making excuses, the one who felt the fear but acted anyway, the one who didn't wait for permission, the perfect time, or a sign from the universe. What does their life look like? Are they healthier, stronger, more confident? Did they start that business, change careers, take that leap? Do they wake up excited about life instead of dreading another day of the same old routine? This version of you exists right now, not as a fantasy, but as a possibility, a reality you could have if you start making different choices today. Because the truth is, the only thing standing between you and that version of yourself is action. Not luck, not talent, not the right circumstances, action. And every single decision you make either moves you toward that version of yourself or further away from it. So the question is, are you willing to step up and claim the life that's meant for you? Let's go deeper. Let's talk about what's possible when you stop waiting. Imagine walking into a room and people look at you differently, not because of luck, but because of the confidence you build through action. Imagine finally feeling proud of yourself, not because of what you plan to do, but because of what you actually did. That dream job, it's yours because you stopped doubting and started preparing. That healthier body, it's real because you stopped making excuses and started moving. That financial freedom, you earned it because you stopped talking about making a change and actually made one. Now tell me, how does that feel? Because this isn't some motivational fantasy. It's not a fairy tale. It's the reality waiting for you on the other side of hesitation. Now let's flip the script. Imagine walking into a room, but this time you meet another version of yourself. The one who kept waiting, the one who let fear win, the one who kept saying maybe next year until there were no years left, the one who let time slip through their fingers while others moved forward. Look into their eyes. What do you see? Frustration? Regret? A life filled with what ifs and if onlys? Now ask yourself, is that the person you want to become? Because the brutal truth is this. You are making that choice right now. With every hesitation, you are shaping your future. With every excuse, you are creating a version of yourself that will one day look back and wish they had done things differently. But here's the good news. You still have time. You still have a choice. You don't have to be the person who regrets. You can be the person who chooses, the person who steps up, who takes control, who stops waiting and starts living. So tell me, who will you be? Let me tell you something. Opportunity has an expiration date. It doesn't sit around forever waiting for you to feel ready. It doesn't care about your excuses, your fears, or your doubts. Think about a ripe piece of fruit hanging from a tree. At first, it's perfect, fresh, full of potential. But if you stare at it too long, if you hesitate, it starts to change, it softens, it bruises. Eventually it falls to the ground and rots. That's what happens when you wait too long to act. The job you wanted, gone. The dream you had, faded. The relationship, the business, the breakthrough, it slipped away while you were stuck in your head overthinking, second guessing, waiting for the perfect moment. And here's the truth, opportunity never rots alone, it takes a piece of you with it. Because every time you let something pass you by, you lose a little more confidence in yourself. You start believing the lie that maybe you're not capable, that maybe it wasn't meant for you. But that's not true. It was meant for you, you just didn't reach out and take it. So let me ask you, how many more chances are you willing to watch slip through your fingers? Success isn't polite. It doesn't knock on your door, sit on your couch, and wait for you to feel ready. It moves, it shifts, it finds the people who are willing to grab it. Look around you. How many times have you seen someone else get the opportunity you wanted? How many times have you watched someone rise to success and thought, that could have been me? I'll tell you why it wasn't. Because while you were waiting, they were acting. While you were doubting, they were learning. While you were making excuses, they were making moves. And that's not because they were smarter than you, not because they were luckier than you. They didn't wait for permission for the stars to align, for the fear to disappear. They stepped forward, took the risk, and made it happen. So the real question is, how much longer are you going to wait? Because if you don't take your shot, someone else will. And when that happens, you won't just lose the opportunity, you'll have to live with the regret of knowing that it was supposed to be yours. This is your moment. Right now, not next year, not when you feel ready, now. Because every second you hesitate, someone else is making a move. Someone else is stepping into the opportunity that was waiting for you. And the truth? Are you really willing to risk that, or the same thing but memories of what could have been, you know? So you're really willing to risk that? Are you willing to look back 5, 10, 20, 30 years? Everything is written down. Transformations of what could have been. So why are you asking you? Are you really, really willing to risk that your risk, that you're risking actually the moment? What? Because if you're not, then stop waiting. Step up, take the risk, make the move before the opportunity that was meant for you becomes someone else's success story. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start tomorrow? How many dreams, goals, and ideas have you put on hold waiting for the right moment, the right mood, the right amount of confidence? Let me tell you something. Your life doesn't change when you think about it. It changes the second you decide to act. It doesn't matter if you don't have all the answers. It doesn't matter if you're scared. The only thing that matters is that you take the first step, because once you do, everything shifts. The moment you stop waiting, you stop making excuses. The moment you stop waiting, fear loses its grip on you. The moment you stop waiting, your future starts to take shape. You've been carrying this weight for too long. A weight of hesitation, self-doubt, and overthinking. But here's the truth. You want clarity? You want to know what your purpose is, what you're capable of, where your path leads? Then stop thinking and start moving. Because clarity doesn't come from sitting around analyzing, debating, and waiting for a sign. It comes from taking action. The people who succeed in life aren't the ones who had everything figured out from day one. They're the ones who stepped forward even when they were uncertain and figured things out along the way. Look at any great leader, entrepreneur, or athlete. They didn't start with all the answers. They started with a decision to act. And through action, they found direction. If you want to know what's possible for you, start doing. If you want to see progress, start moving. If you want to change your life, stop thinking about it and make the first move. Because movement creates momentum, and momentum creates clarity. Let me be clear, nobody is coming to give you permission to be great. Nobody's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, now is the perfect time. Because there is no perfect time, there is only now. And the difference between winners and everyone else, winners move. They don't wait to feel ready. They don't wait for approval. They don't wait for the fear to disappear. They see an opportunity and they go after it. They see a challenge and they attack it. They take risks, make mistakes, learn fast, and keep going. Meanwhile, everyone else is standing on the sidelines waiting. Waiting for motivation, waiting for signs, waiting for everything to feel safe and comfortable. But success doesn't live in comfort, it lives in action. So ask yourself, because if you want change, if you want results, if you want the life you've been dreaming about, stop waiting. Start moving. Now. Let me ask you something. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start when I'm ready? How many dreams have you put on hold because you didn't feel prepared? Because you thought you needed more time, more skills, more experience? Let me tell you the hard truth. Feeling ready is a myth, a trap, a lie we tell ourselves to justify staying in our comfort zone. The most successful people in the world didn't wait until they felt ready. They started when they were scared. They started when they had doubts. They started when they had no idea what they were doing. Because here's what most people don't realize. Readiness isn't something you wait for, it's something you create. You become ready by doing. You become skilled by trying. You become confident by showing up, even when you feel like you have no business being there. So if you're waiting for the perfect moment, the moment you feel 100% ready, fearless, and completely sure of yourself, you'll be waiting forever. And while you wait, someone else is out there taking action. Someone else, no smarter or more talented than you, is stepping up, learning as they go, and turning their dreams into reality. So ask yourself, do you want to be the one watching or the one making it happen? You think successful people don't feel fear? You think the people you admire, the athletes, the entrepreneurs, the artists, wake up every morning fearless, never doubting themselves? No, they feel fear just like you, just like me, just like everyone. The difference? They move anyway. Fear doesn't disappear when you achieve more. It doesn't vanish when you gain experience. It doesn't go away when you reach a new level. If anything, it gets louder. Because the bigger the dream, the bigger the risk. And the bigger the risk, the stronger the fear. So, if you're waiting for fear to leave before you take action, let me save you some time. It's not going anywhere. But here's the good news. You don't need fear to go away. You just need to stop letting it control you. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be brave enough to take one step forward and then another and another. And with each step, you'll realize something powerful. Fear is loud, but it's weak. It only has power over you if you listen. So what are you listening to, your fear or your future? People think confidence is something you're born with, that some people just have it and others don't. That's nonsense. Confidence isn't a personality trait. It's a skill. And like any skill, it's built through repetition and action. You don't become confident by sitting on the sidelines, waiting for a magical surge of self-belief. You become confident by stepping up, taking risks, and proving to yourself again and again that you're capable. Think about it. The first time you rode a bike, you weren't confident. The first time you spoke in public, you weren't confident. The first time you did anything new, you felt uncertain, awkward, maybe even terrified. But you kept going, and eventually confidence showed up. Because confidence doesn't come before action, it comes because of action. So if you don't feel ready right now, if you're doubting yourself, good, that means you're about to grow. The only question is, will you take the first step? Will you act before you feel prepared? Because if you do, I promise you this, one day you'll look back and realize the confidence you were waiting for was inside you all along. You just had to move first. Every time you hesitate, you're making a choice. You might not realize it, but in that split second, you're deciding between two futures, one where you move forward and one where you stay exactly where you are. Think about it. How many times have you had an idea, a goal, a plan, and then stopped yourself? How many times have you told yourself, maybe later, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week? And what happens? Nothing. Days pass, weeks pass, life keeps moving forward, but you don't. And let me tell you something, indecision is still a decision. And every time you hesitate, you're choosing comfort over progress. You're choosing the familiar over the possibility of something greater. Successful people, they understand this. They don't waste time in hesitation. They don't give doubt the space to grow. They feel the hesitation creeping in and they move anyway. Because they know the truth. Every second you hesitate is a second you could have been taking action. And the only way to get ahead in life is to stop waiting and start moving. Imagine if every time you had a good idea, you took action immediately. No overthinking, no second guessing, just action. Where would you be right now? How much further would you have come? This is the power of training your brain to say, I act now. Because here's what happens when you don't. The longer you wait, the louder fear becomes. The more time you give your mind to question, to analyze, to list all the reasons why you're not ready, the harder it gets to take action. But when you train yourself to move immediately, hesitation dies before it even has a chance to grow. Successful athletes don't think about whether they feel like training, they just do it. Elite entrepreneurs don't wait to feel confident, they take risks and adjust along the way. And you have the same ability. But you have to start training your mind. The next time you feel hesitation creeping in, say it out loud, I act now. And then take one step. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be immediate. Because the more you train yourself to move now, the more automatic it becomes. And when action becomes automatic, success becomes inevitable. How many times have you talked yourself out of something you knew you needed to do? I'll start on Monday. I'm too tired today. I'll do it tomorrow. Maybe I should wait until I feel more motivated. This is the negotiation that kills dreams. The endless back and forth in your mind that keeps you stuck, playing small, living below your potential. And let me tell you, you will always lose if you keep negotiating with yourself. You cannot leave your success up to feelings. Feelings are inconsistent. One day you're fired up, the next day you don't feel like it. If you wait to feel like it, you'll never get anywhere. Action cannot be up for debate. It has to be non-negotiable. It has to be automatic. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't argue with yourself about it. You don't say, I don't really feel like it today. You just do it because it's a habit, because it's automatic. That's how action must be. So stop negotiating. Stop giving yourself an exit. Train yourself to move without debate, without hesitation, without excuse, because when action becomes automatic, so does success. Everybody has dreams. Everybody has ideas. But here's the truth. Dreams don't make things happen. Actions do. The world is filled with dreamers who never take the first step. They talk about what they could do, what they plan to do, what they hope to do, but when it's time to move, they freeze. They hesitate. They stay stuck in one-day mode. And then there are the doers, the ones who don't just talk, they execute. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They don't sit around hoping for motivation. They move forward, even when it's messy, even when it's uncomfortable. Ask yourself, which one are you? Are you the person who sits back, watches and waits? Or are you the person who makes things happen? Because here's the brutal truth. Dreamers watch, doers succeed. If all you do is think about success but never take action, someone else will pass you by, someone with less talent, less experience, less knowledge, but more courage to act. And if that stings a little, good, because that means you have a choice to make. Stay where you are or step up and become a doer. How many times have you said, I'll start next week? How many times have you told yourself, tomorrow I'll be ready? And then what happens? Tomorrow turns into next week turns into next month turns into never. Let me tell you something. Tomorrow is the most dangerous lie you will ever believe. Because every time you push something to tomorrow, you train yourself to delay. You tell your brain that hesitation is okay. And that's how dreams die. Not with a big decision, but with 1,000 small moments of procrastination. So, what will you do today? Not tomorrow, not next week, today, right now. Because action is a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. And the best way to build that muscle is by taking a step immediately. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be now. Set one clear, immediate step and execute before the day ends. Here's the challenge. Pick one thing, one action, one step, and do it before the sun sets. Not a plan, not an idea, not research, an action. Want to start a business? Make the call, send the email, launch the page, something. Want to get in shape? Don't look at workouts, drop and do 10 push-ups. Move. Want to improve your life? Stop talking about it and take one real step. Now, it doesn't matter how small it is. It doesn't matter if it's imperfect. What matters is that you break the cycle of hesitation, because when you start taking action, even the smallest action, everything changes. And once you prove to yourself that you can act today, you'll stop waiting for tomorrow. Think about a plane getting ready for takeoff. Do pilots sit there waiting for the skies to be completely clear, the winds to be perfectly calm, and the conditions to be 100% ideal? No. They get that plane off the ground knowing full well they'll have to make adjustments along the way. Because that's how flights work. They don't start perfect, they adapt. Now, let me ask you something. Why do you treat your life any differently? So many people refuse to start their journey because they're waiting for the right moment. They're waiting to feel ready. They're waiting for the fear to go away, for the plan to be perfect, for every detail to be lined up before they even take the first step. But just like a plane, you don't need perfect conditions to take off. You just need to move. Look at the most successful people in the world. Did they have everything figured out before they started? Absolutely not. Steve Jobs didn't wait until he had the perfect version of Apple. He started in a garage and improved along the way. Oprah didn't wait until she had the perfect opportunity. She took what she had and built from there. Success isn't about having a flawless plan from day one. It's about starting anyway and making adjustments along the way. Because here's the truth. Clarity comes from action, not from overthinking. You will never have all the answers before you begin. You will never feel 100% ready. But that's not a reason to sit still. It's a reason to move. So now the question is simple. Are you going to sit on the runway forever? Or are you going to take off? Because waiting doesn't get you anywhere. Waiting doesn't build confidence. Waiting doesn't create results. Action does. The moment you decide to move, even if it's messy, even if it's uncertain, you've already separated yourself from 90% of people. Because most will stay stuck convincing themselves they need more time. But not you. You're going to take off. You're going to start right now exactly where you are with exactly what you have. And when you do, you'll figure it out along the way, just like every successful person before you. Look at anyone who has achieved greatness, entrepreneurs, athletes, leaders, creators. They come from different backgrounds, different struggles, different circumstances. But they all have one thing in common. They don't wait. They don't wait for the perfect conditions. They don't wait to feel confident. They don't wait for someone to give them permission. They move, they start, they figure it out as they go. Because waiting is a trap. It feels safe. It feels responsible. But in reality, it's just fear in disguise. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. And if you let that fear dictate your actions, guess what? You'll never start. You'll sit there, watching others take the risks, make the mistakes, and build a life you could have had. Every time you hesitate, every time you tell yourself, I'll do it later, you are making a decision to stay exactly where you are. Because here's the truth, opportunities don't wait. That business idea, someone else is already working on it. That skill you've been meaning to learn, someone else is already mastering it. That life you dream of, someone else is out there taking action, making it real. And while you're overthinking, someone else is out there doing. You don't get unlimited chances. You don't get time back. The doors that are open today might not be open tomorrow. So ask yourself, how many opportunities have I already let slip away? And more importantly, how many more am I willing to lose? Have you ever noticed that the longer you put something off, the bigger it starts to feel? You say, I'll start next week, and next week turns into next month. You say, I'll do it when I'm ready, and you never feel ready. You wait and wait and wait until what was once a simple step now feels impossible. This is how people stay stuck for years. Not because they can't move, but because they've trained themselves not to. Momentum is real. And so is stagnation. The good news, the same rule works in reverse. The moment you take action, no matter how small, you start building momentum. And once you're in motion, everything gets easier. So stop waiting, stop hesitating. Move now, because every day you delay, the harder it becomes to start. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you've waited too long. Some people spend their entire lives planning. They make lists, they do research, they create the perfect strategy, and then they do nothing. Because planning feels productive. It tricks your brain into believing you're making progress, but the truth, a plan without action is just a wish. You don't need the perfect plan, you need momentum. Because clarity comes from movement, not from thinking about movement. Think about riding a bike. You can study how to ride for years, you can read books, watch videos, take notes, but you'll never truly understand how to balance until you actually get on the bike. Life works the same way. You won't figure out everything before you start, you figure it out while you start. The people who succeed, they take action first, then adjust along the way. The people who fail, they wait until they know enough to begin, and they never do. Too many people are waiting for more time, waiting for more money, waiting for the fear to go away, waiting for some perfect moment that doesn't exist. Let me tell you something, the conditions will never be perfect. If you want to get in shape, you don't wait for the right day to start exercising, you start today. If you want to start a business, you don't wait until you have every answer, you start with what you know and learn the rest as you go. Because movement creates opportunities, stagnation kills them. The most successful people in the world, they didn't start under perfect conditions, they started when it was inconvenient, when it was messy, when they were scared. And because they moved forward anyway, they built their own opportunities instead of waiting for them. So stop waiting, move, even if it's small, even if it's messy, even if it's uncertain, because progress doesn't come from waiting, it comes from momentum. Most people aren't held back by lack of skill or lack of talent or even lack of resources. They're held back by their own mind. They overthink every decision, they analyze every risk, they get stuck in their heads, running in circles instead of moving forward. And while they're busy debating what to do, someone else who knows less than them, who is less prepared than them, is already out there doing it. Overthinking is fear in disguise. It's your brain trying to keep you safe. But safe doesn't get you anywhere. So if you've been stuck, if you've been hesitating, if you've been waiting for the right time, stop thinking, start doing. Take the first step, any step. Because once you move, everything changes. Let me tell you a story. I knew someone who started with nothing. No money, no connections, no experience, no special talent that made them stand out from the crowd. But you know what they did have? They had action. While everyone else sat around waiting for the right opportunity, they created their own. While others made excuses, they found solutions. While others hesitated, they took the first step, even when they had no idea where it would lead. And guess what? That first step changed everything. Because the moment they moved, doors started opening. Not all at once, not easily, but one by one through sheer persistence. They learned as they went, they failed, adjusted, and tried again. And in the end, they built something. Not because they had the perfect plan, not because they were the smartest in the room, but because they had the courage to act when others hesitated. Too many people are waiting for the right connections, waiting for approval, waiting for someone to say, now is your time. But let me tell you something, no one is coming to hand you your future. No one is going to tap you on the shoulder and say, you're ready now. No one is going to build your success for you. The people who make it, they don't wait for permission, they take it. They don't ask if they're qualified, they become qualified. They don't wait for the perfect moment, they create the moment. They don't let fear stop them, they move in spite of it. Think about the people you admire. The ones who changed their lives, built something meaningful, or defied the odds. Do you think they had some secret advantage? No, they simply acted when others hesitated. Now, let's talk about you. What's holding you back? Is it fear? Fear of failing? Fear of looking foolish? Fear that you're not good enough? Let me tell you this, fear is a liar. It will convince you to stay small. It will tell you to wait. It will whisper 1,000 excuses in your ear, but at the end of the day, fear only has power if you listen to it. Or maybe it's doubt. Maybe you think you don't have what it takes. Maybe you think success is for other people, people who are smarter, more talented, more experienced. But if that were true, how did people with less than you succeed? If someone with no money, no experience, and no connections could change their life through action, why not you? Because here's the truth. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is action. So are you gonna wait, or are you gonna move? Imagine this, you wake up in the middle of the night, your house is on fire. Smoke is filling the room, the walls are cracking, the heat is unbearable. Would you sit there, debating your next move? Would you wait for the flames to reach you before deciding to act? No, you'd move, you'd act on instinct, you'd fight to get out to survive, because in that moment, nothing else matters. Now let me ask you, why don't you treat your dreams the same way? Because let me tell you something, they are burning. Every day you hesitate, every excuse you make, every I'll start tomorrow is another piece of them going up in flames. And if you wait too long, there won't be anything left to save. Think about this. How many opportunities have you let slip through your fingers because you hesitated? Because you told yourself you weren't ready? Because you waited for the stars to align before taking the first step? Time doesn't wait. Neither does success. Every second you waste, someone else is out there chasing the life you want. Someone else is putting in the work. Someone else is taking the risks you were too afraid to take. And while they're building their future, you're standing in the fire, watching your dreams turn to ash. Brutal, yes, but sometimes you need to hear it. Because if you don't wake up now, if you don't start moving, one day you're going to look back and realize that the life you wanted, the person you could have become is gone. That's a pain no one should have to live with. Most people treat their dreams like a hobby, like something they'll get to when they have time, like an option instead of an obligation. But let me tell you something. The life you want isn't optional. If you want to succeed, you have to make it a priority. If you want change, you have to demand it from yourself. If you want to win, you have to show up every single day, no matter what. No more excuses, no more waiting, no more hoping that one day the perfect moment will arrive. Because success doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who fight for it. So ask yourself, are you going to sit back and watch your dreams burn, or are you going to do whatever it takes to save them? Inspiration is cheap. It's everywhere. You can watch a video, read a book, listen to a speech, feel fired up for a moment, and then what? Nothing. Because inspiration without action is worthless. Let me tell you something. I don't want you to feel good for 5 minutes. I want you to change your life. I want you to stop nodding your head, stop agreeing, stop thinking that's so true, and instead I want you to do something about it. Because motivation is temporary, but discipline, commitment, action, that's what builds real success. And that's what separates people who dream from people who achieve. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start tomorrow? How many times have you waited for the right time, the right mood, the right situation? How many times have you let a goal sit in the back of your mind collecting dust while you distracted yourself with excuses? Enough. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Later is a lie. The only time you have is now. Because let's be honest, when you say I'll do it later, what you really mean is I don't want it bad enough. And if that's the truth, fine. But if you do want it, if you actually want to change, grow, succeed, prove it, take action. Right now. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm not asking for massive progress overnight. I'm asking for one step, one call, one decision, one action that moves you forward, even just an inch. Because once you start moving, momentum kicks in, and momentum changes everything. So what's your first step? Say it, decide it, and do it before this day ends. Because if you don't, then you never really wanted it in the first place. Fear is the silent killer of dreams. It whispers in your ear, telling you that you're not ready, that you might fail, that people might judge you. And instead of pushing forward, you freeze, you hesitate, you stop yourself before you even start. And the worst part, you justify it. You tell yourself, I'll wait until I'm more prepared, or maybe next time. But let's be real, how many times have you let self-doubt hold you back while someone else, someone with less talent, less experience, less intelligence, took the leap and made it happen? Not because they were better, not because they were more capable, but because they didn't let fear stop them. Failure is not your biggest problem. It never was. Because failure, that's a lesson. That's experience. That's proof you tried. But hesitation kills momentum, it kills confidence, it keeps you stuck in the same place watching life pass you by. While you wait for the right moment, you either move or you don't. You either take the shot or you watch someone else take it. And if you keep hesitating, guess what? You'll never know what you could have been. You say you want change, you say you want success, you say you want a better life, but wanting is meaningless without action. And every time you let fear decide for you, every time you choose comfort over courage, you make a decision to stay exactly where you are. And if you don't like where you are, if you're tired of feeling stuck, then stop feeding your fear and start feeding your ambition. Take the risk, take the step. Because if you don't, let's get one thing straight. Success isn't built on perfection. It's built on failure. Repeated failure. Painful failure. The kind of failure that makes most people quit. But here's what separates the successful from everyone else. They didn't quit. You look at people who have made it. The athletes, the entrepreneurs, the artists, the leaders, and you see their success. But what you don't see is the countless times they failed before they got there. Michael Jordan, cut from his high school basketball team. Oprah, fired from her first TV job. Elon Musk nearly lost everything before Tesla took off. Do you think they got lucky? Or do you think they just kept going when most people would have stopped? That's the difference. They failed more times than you've even tried. Most people fear failure like it's the end of the world. But failure isn't the enemy, stagnation is. Because when you fail, you learn, you grow, you adapt. You figure out what doesn't work so you can get closer to what does. Failure isn't proof that you should quit, it's proof that you're in the game. Think about it. A boxer gets hit in the ring. Does that mean he's losing? No, it means he's fighting. He's in the arena. But if you never step in the ring, if you're too afraid to get hit, then you've already lost. Regret is heavier than failure. Because failure means you had the guts to go after something. It means you tested your limits. It means you lived. But regret, that's the weight of a life half lived. A life where you played it safe, where you let fear and doubt make your decisions for you. One day you're going to look back on your life, and when you do you want to see a story of someone who failed, learned, and kept pushing? Or do you want to see someone who spent their life wondering what if? You already know the answer. So stop waiting, stop hesitating, and start failing forward. Think about that for a second. 1,000,000 failures, 1,000,000 experiments gone wrong, 1,000,000 reasons to quit. But he didn't. Most people won't even try something 10 times before they give up. Some won't even try twice. Edison kept going until he got it right. He didn't see failure as the end, he saw it as part of the process. And because of that, we have light. What if you changed the way you looked at failure? What if instead of seeing it as proof that you're not good enough, you saw it as feedback, as data, as a lesson? Every time you fail, you're collecting information. You're learning what doesn't work. You're refining your strategy. You're getting stronger, smarter, better. You wouldn't call a scientist a failure just because their first experiment didn't work. That's how science works. Trial and error. Why should your success be any different? Let's be real for a second. How many times have you actually put in the work before deciding it was too hard? How often do you tell yourself, maybe this isn't for me after just a few failed attempts? If Edison had quit after 100 tries, we'd still be sitting in the dark. If athletes gave up after their first loss, we'd have no champions. If businesses folded after their first rough quarter, there would be no industry leaders. The only reason you don't have what you want yet, you haven't tried enough times. So here's the question, are you willing to keep failing until you succeed? Or will you keep making excuses while someone else out there, someone with the same struggles and obstacles as you, refuses to quit? The choice is yours. You either try until you win, or you give up and watch someone else do it. If you've ever been in the gym, you know how this works. You push your muscles past their comfort zone and they break down. Tiny fibers tear, it hurts, it burns, but what happens next? They rebuild stronger than before. Now imagine if you never pushed yourself, if you always stayed in your comfort zone, never lifting anything heavy, never feeling that burn. Would you get stronger? No, you'd stay exactly the same. That's not just a lesson for the gym, that's a lesson for life. Most people want results, but they don't want the work. They want the reward, but they don't want the struggle. They want the transformation, but they refuse to go through the discomfort that comes with it. And that's exactly why most people stay stuck. You can't grow without resistance. You can't level up without challenge. The struggle isn't the obstacle, it's the process. Every setback, every rejection, every moment of frustration, it's breaking you down, but only so you can rebuild. Only so you can come back stronger. Look at the most successful people in the world. Athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, leaders. Every single one of them has faced resistance. And they didn't run from it, they used it. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter was accepted. What if they had avoided struggle? What if they had backed down the moment things got hard? They would be nobodies. Their names wouldn't mean a thing. And that's the choice you have. Do you want to stay comfortable or do you want to grow? Because if you're avoiding resistance, you're avoiding results. If you're dodging challenges, you're dodging opportunities. It's time to stop running. It's time to push through, because every ounce of struggle today is building the strength you need for tomorrow. People treat failure like it's the end, like it's proof they weren't good enough, smart enough, or strong enough. But failure is not the enemy. Stagnation is. The faster you fail, the faster you learn. The more often you fail, the more experience you gain. The only way to move forward is to keep failing, because every failure is refining you, sharpening you, preparing you. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop overthinking, stop delaying, take the shot, make the move. If you fail, good, that means you're doing something. Think about every major success story you've ever heard. What do they all have in common? They failed, repeatedly. Steve Jobs got fired from his own company. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Sylvester Stallone was rejected over 1,500 times before Rocky got made. But here's the difference between them and most people. They didn't quit. Every setback gave them more fuel. Every rejection made them sharper. Every failure built their resilience. So what's stopping you? A bad experience? A little embarrassment? Some negative opinions? As long as you get back up, failure is never final. The only true failure is giving up. Let me tell you what's truly dangerous. Regret. Not the kind of regret that comes from failing. That kind fades with time. The kind that haunts you is the regret of never trying at all. Years from now, do you want to look back and wonder what could have been? Do you want to live with the thought, I wish I had just gone for it? Because here's the truth, failure is temporary, regret is permanent. So fail fast, fail often, fail forward. Because in the end, the biggest risk isn't trying and failing, it's never trying at all. You can listen to every motivational speech, read every book, and dream as big as you want, but none of it matters if you don't act. Because nothing changes if nothing happens. You don't get stronger by thinking about lifting weights. You don't get successful by wishing for it. You don't build confidence by waiting to feel ready. You act, you do, you move. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start next week? How many times have you waited for the right time? Let me tell you something, later is a lie, tomorrow's an excuse. If you wait for perfect conditions, you'll wait forever. If you wait to feel ready, you'll never start. Now is the only time you control. Now is where momentum begins. Do something, anything right now that pushes you forward. Send that email, make that call, take that first step, because the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Two people can have the same goal, the same talent, the same dream. The difference? One moves, the other hesitates. One takes action, the other makes excuses. One succeeds, the other regrets. Regret isn't about what you did, it's about what you didn't do. The chances you didn't take, the time you wasted, the opportunities you let slip. Success is built on movement, not perfection, not luck, not waiting for the stars to align, just movement. So make the choice right now, do something, move. Because the cost of inaction is regret, and you can't afford that. How many times have you sat there going in circles in your head trying to figure out the perfect plan? You analyze every possibility, every risk, every outcome, until you've talked yourself out of doing anything at all. Let me be clear, overthinking won't save you. It won't protect you. It won't move you forward. Thinking has its place, but it was never meant to be a prison. It was meant to be a tool, and a tool is useless unless you use it. So stop waiting for certainty. Stop waiting for the guarantee, because no amount of thinking will replace doing. Fear isn't your enemy, inaction is. Doubt isn't your downfall, hesitation is. Because the truth is, fear fades when you face it. Doubt disappears when you prove it wrong. But hesitation? Hesitation is a slow death that keeps you stuck. It keeps you waiting. It keeps you living below your potential. The people who succeed aren't fearless. They're just the ones who moved before they felt ready, who acted before they had all the answers, who started even when doubt screamed at them to stop. So whatever is holding you back right now, there's only one solution. Move now. When you don't decide, life decides for you. When you don't move, time moves without you. Indecision isn't neutral. It's not harmless. It's a decision to stay where you are. And every time you hesitate, every time you overthink, every time you wait, you're choosing to stay stuck. What's that costing you? Opportunities, confidence, the life you actually want? Because in the end, you won't regret the times you acted, you'll regret every time you didn't. Most people live their lives on pause. They have dreams, they have ideas, they talk about what they want to do, but when it comes time to move, they freeze. You see it everywhere. People who spend years complaining about their situation but never change it. People who say they'll start that business, go after that goal, take that risk, but never do. Not because they don't want it, but because they never act. Let me tell you something. The perfect moment doesn't exist. You will never have total certainty. You will never have a guaranteed outcome. You will never feel 100% ready. But most people don't get that, so they wait. They wait for someone to validate their dreams. They wait for conditions to be perfect. They wait until they feel ready. And you know what happens? The opportunity disappears. The door closes. The regret sets in. Because while they were waiting, someone else was acting. Someone else was taking the risk. Someone else was making things happen. So ask yourself, how long have you been waiting? Because that's the reality. Only 5% of people ever take real action. That's it. The ones who succeed, the ones who rise, the ones who actually build the life they want, they aren't the smartest, they aren't the most talented, they're just the ones who moved. Even when they were scared, even when they weren't ready, even when the odds weren't in their favor. So what's it going to be? Are you going to sit back and wish for a better life? Or are you going to step up and create it? Because right now, in this moment, you have a choice. You can stay where you are, like the 95% who talk but never act, or you can join the 5% who move, who try, who fail, who learn, and who win. Let me ask you something. How many times have you told yourself, I'll do it later, I'll start next week, I'll wait until I'm ready? How many chances have come your way only for you to hesitate, overthink, and let them slip through your fingers? Because here's the truth. Life does not wait. Opportunities do not wait. Every single day doors are opening, but they do not stay open forever. The world keeps moving whether you're ready or not. While you're sitting there debating, someone else is already on the move. Someone else is stepping up. Someone else is taking the shot that could have been yours. Think of opportunity like a train. It stops for a moment, just long enough for you to make a decision. You can hesitate. You can wait for the next train, for a better moment, for more certainty. But what if that was the train? What if that was the chance that could have changed everything? How many times in your life have you said, I should have done that? I wish I had taken that risk. If only I had started sooner. Regret is heavier than fear, but by the time you realize that, the train is already gone. This is your moment. You have two choices, step up or stay behind. You can be the person who waits, watches, and wonders what could have been, or you can be the person who moves, who tries, who makes things happen. Because whether you take action or not, time will pass. The only difference, where you'll be when it does. So tell me, what's it going to be? Let's be real for a second. In this world, there are only two types of people. One walks into a challenge and starts listing reasons why they can't. The other, they find a way. Some people see obstacles and stop, others see obstacles and step up. Some let fear, doubt, and circumstances dictate their future. Others fight through it no matter what. The question is, which one are you? Take a hard look at yourself. No filters, no excuses. When things get difficult, do you step forward or do you step back? When the opportunity comes, do you grab it or do you let hesitation steal it from you? When you fall short, do you own it, learn from it, and push harder? Or do you point fingers, blame the timing, and convince yourself it wasn't meant to be? You can lie to the world, but don't lie to yourself. Because if you don't like where you are right now, there's only one reason: the choices you've made. Listen, everybody has excuses. Everybody. Not enough time, not enough money, too tired, too old, too young, too inexperienced, too unlucky. You think you're the only one with problems? The only one facing resistance? The difference between winners and everyone else isn't that they don't have excuses, it's that they refuse to let them win. They get up earlier, they sacrifice comfort, they put in the work when no one's watching, they fall, and instead of feeling sorry for themselves, they adjust and attack again. That's the mindset that builds success. That's the attitude that separates those who wish from those who do. So I'll ask you again, which one are you? And more importantly, this is it. This is where everything changes. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Every person who ever achieved greatness, every champion, every leader, every innovator stood exactly where you are at some point, staring at a choice, a crossroads. Do I stay the same or do I rise? Do I keep making the same excuses or do I break the cycle? Right now, you stand at that exact moment. And whether you realize it or not, the decision you make today will echo into your future. Go back through history, read the biographies, listen to the interviews. You'll hear one thing over and over again. There was a moment when everything changed. The moment when an overweight person decided they'd had enough and committed to transforming their body. The moment when an entrepreneur stopped waiting for the right time and took the leap that built their empire. The moment when someone in rock bottom circumstances refused to be a victim, took control and rewrote their story. The names change, the industries change, but the pattern stays the same. They decided, and that one decision changed everything. Here's the truth, this moment means nothing if you walk away and do nothing with it. How many times have you felt inspired before? How many times have you said, this is it, I'm gonna change, only to fall right back into the same old patterns? It's like holding a winning lottery ticket, but never cashing it in. The people who succeed are not the ones who felt motivated, they're the ones who took that motivation and turned it into movement. So right now you have a choice. You can treat this like just another moment, another temporary high that fades away. Or you can let this be the moment that defines you, the moment you decide to rise, to take action, to step fully into the person you were meant to be. So what's it going to be? Because if you want change, it starts right now.